What are the 5 RPGs you should be looking out for this year? We'll talk about those and more on today's episode.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Hey.
Cheers. Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Now you owe me a soda. So give me a soda. Okay, if he doesn't give me a soda, I'm going to be like, we're real upset. Welcome to the What is Tabletop podcast. I'm Frank. I want a soda. And also have been GMing for over 10 years, and with me is Charles.
Technically, I'm Jinx. I'm not supposed to talk.
I just want a soda. Give me a soda. Drink your tears of the people you're beat at Jeopardy. Fun fact for those of you who don't know, our friend Evan had a Halloween party, and there was a Jeopardy game, and Charles like smoked people apparently.
Yeah, me and this. Again, I'm sorry if you watch her podcast. I can't remember her name. I don't know. I want to say it was like
Abby,
Becca, maybe. I don't remember. She was my partner though, and she dominated too. She was really good.
Anyway, so apparently Charles wreck shop, so he gets a mug. Well, funny enough, Evan gave me a mug and it says world's greatest GM, and he immediately regretted that.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't tell your friends lies. So.
It wasn't though. It literally the side tangent before we go. By the way, subscribe so that way if we get on side tangents, you can tell us in the comments, hey, you're on a side tangent. Get to the actual video, you idiots. Side tangent.
Go ahead.
Is like he gave me that mug, and then literally that same session something happened. They're like, really, Frank? And I just took it and drank it. They're like, he's like, I instantly regret this. I regret this so much. Why did I do that?
Yeah, he probably regrets 9 times out of 10 he comes to any of our games because of what we're talking about.
No, he would say he likes us and then probably make a joke and be funnier than both of us, but
he's definitely funnier than both of us.
I don't like that.
No, I guarantee you if he were on the channel with us, Peter would be like, no, Evan wins.
Evan's the funniest.
Evan's the funniest. Yeah.
Tell us who's the funniest in the comments.
Not again. We know. I've lost. It's fine. I've conceded.
So what are we
There's
talking
only
about?
so many tears I can shed myself.
So what are we talking about, Charles?
Today we're talking about 5 of the most anticipated, at least for us, upcoming tabletop role-playing games.
Oh my gosh, there's so many coming out this year.
There's so many.
Oh my, I made like an honorable mentions list, and that's like twice as long as what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
I literally looked up and like people, I was like, what are some possible ones? Because I knew some and I wanted to see what everyone else was thinking about. And there are so many. There are so many coming out. And we have Hasbro to thank for that. Thank you, Hasbro, for failing every one of your employees and your customers at the same time. Without you, we wouldn't have this new golden age of RPGs. So thank you so much.
Yeah, let's get into it, I guess.
We're going to talk about the most popular ones and then also save arguably the most popular one at the end. So which one are we going to talk about first?
We're going to be talking about Daggerheart.
Daggerheart.
Critical Role.
Yeah, so here's the most interesting thing. Out of all the ones we're going to be talking about, except for maybe one, they all used Kickstarter to fund themselves. And some of them broke some insane records, which shouldn't surprise you, but they did happen. They did break a lot of records. Good for them. A lot of them made a few $1 million on their design and implementation. So great job. We're super happy that there's more people, more unique RPGs in the hobby. Critical Role is the exception to that rule. They didn't launch a Kickstarter. They just said, we're making an RPG. And then they made an RPG.
The celebrity factor, people know who they are. They've known for them for a while. They've been doing this for a hot minute. So
yeah. So what's interesting is this is actually Critical Role's second RPG.
Yes.
They did release Candela Obscura. And if you want to know our opinions, we have a video on it. It's called You Probably Shouldn't Be Playing Candela Obscura. And so you probably already know our opinions about it. But watch the video to find out more. Ultimately, when we played Candela, I think we were all in agreement that game, it felt like there's stuff missing.
Yeah.
It felt rushed.
Yeah.
Especially considering like they were filming a show while making the rules. Like their first campaign of Candela didn't even have the full rule set yet. Yeah. So that to me shows that they were looking to make a product more than they were that to me shows that they were going to make a show before they made a game. Like the game is just the thing to make the show that they wanted to make. Daggerheart definitely feels like what is the game that the Critical Role cast wants to play instead of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
And it feels like it too. Like some of the mechanics are really interesting. I think my favorite part is definitely just like the hope and fear die resolution. Right. You have 2 dice. They're both D12. So congratulations to everyone who loves the D12. It's going to be your year this year. You're going to roll 2 dice. One's your hope die. One's your fear die. Whichever number is higher is what happens. So if you roll with if you roll and your hope is the higher number, you're going to get a hope, which you can use to activate your abilities and do really cool stuff. But if you roll higher on the fear die, the GM gets a fear token, and they can use that to activate villain abilities and to add things to the scene and to make combat harder. Yeah. Super like thematic mechanics off the bat. I just love that. Naturally, like, yeah, I rolled with hope and I get this cool thing and I get to do more things. Like, you're hopeful about it. Oh no, I rolled with fear and the GM is going to do more things. We talked about in our success video the idea of having like various fail and success states. And so it's really cool that they're doing that. I think the thing I'm most concerned about is that it's implementing rules like mechanics while also trying to still be somewhat crunchy. Yeah. Like, they have a deck of cards, which is going to be interesting to see how that works instead of like writing down all of your abilities, having these cards that you pass out to everybody and then that they choose from the cards. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. But like, what was fascinating to me was their beta test was not, hey, how do you guys feel about the game? It was break our game from a mechanics perspective. And so I don't know. It could work. Yeah. But we're going to have to play it. We're going to have to see them play it. We're going to have to see a bunch of people play it to see, does this actually like succeed in what it wants to do?
Again, I enjoyed the system. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think after a couple revisions, because when a game comes out, it's not always perfect. It rarely is. So you have to make revisions.
Well, the version we played was definitely a beta test, and they've made some revisions since then. Yeah, and that's okay. I think that's fine. I think like they've changed like the armor numbers and like certain slots and stuff like that. So we'll see how it works. I think it was really fun. They have like a new death mechanic that I'm really interested in. That's fun. I think the hardest part is going to be anyone coming from Dungeons and Dragons, where it's very laid out what your character can and can't do, and you go to Daggerheart, where it's like, what do you do? I don't know. It's like, no. What do you do? I don't know. What can I do? No.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah, like you there's a lot of freedom there. You can kind of decide what your character's doing, and as long as you can justify it with your ability, you do it. Yeah. Well, based on your role.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see how that all works out. Yeah, but I am hopefully optimistic about that, and so that's why it's one to look out for, because it could do really well. Yeah. It could do okay. We'll see how that goes.
Some good competition for D&D for sure.
Absolutely. What's the next one?
Next one is Draw Steel.
Yes, the Matt Colville one, and I'm actually really excited for this one. Granted, I love Matt Colville.
Yeah, so let's talk about Draw Steel.
In accordance to what we have talked about, where Hasbro had screwed over people, MCDM had made 5th edition supplements. Hasbro does the stupid Hasbro thing. Matt Colville and his group kind of were already thinking about wanting to do their own RPG, but they were going to do it years later, and then this just expedited the process. Yeah. And so I think this one also has a chance of maybe going toe-to-toe with D&D. It's probably not going to replace it. D&D has done super well.
I don't see anything necessarily replacing D&D right this second.
No.
But there's some strong competition coming up.
Yeah.
And with revisions and new editions of other games coming up, you never know.
Right. And so I think Draw Steel has a shot at doing really well because the team behind this again, going back to our previous thing, a lot of the games coming out might not necessarily have teams that have made RPGs before. Like in the case of DC-20, it's a guy who's never made an RPG before. Like he might have made like supplementary material, but that making a supplement is much different.
Oh yeah,
than making an RPG from scratch.
Yeah, you already have the bones and everything. You're just providing a little more meat.
Right. That's why like Tales of the Valiant and Nimble 5e, they came out quicker because they were just changing 5th edition.
They're like variants of 5e. Yeah.
So the reason MCDM, I'm super excited for that. They're stacked crew. Matt Colville himself worked in RPGs. He's made been a part of several groups. He's worked on like the Star Trek RPG. He's worked on like so many things. So this guy knows what he's doing. Add in that James Incarnasso, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, who's also worked on some stuff, and you had another group of people in the team that have just been doing really well. It's probably going to be the most solidly designed game of the bunch, for sure. Just because like they're really putting in the effort. And again, the best part is they're being super open about the design process. If you want to know the design process, join their Patreon, and they just give you like examples of examples. They even have free videos on YouTube explaining this was a really cool mechanic we wanted, but we had to get rid of it for this reason. Yeah. And so from just a design perspective, I recommend looking into Draw Steel because you get to see like how the sausage is made. You get to like learn a little bit more about it. Yeah. But I also think the game's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, the big draw is going to be, instead of D&D, where you have resources and you slowly lose them, in Draw Steel, you have no resources and slowly gain them as the fight goes on.
Nice.
Yeah. Every round, you gain, I think for, like, the Tactician, it's, like, Stratagem. Like, you gain 1 level, and then you gain another, and then you can, like, spend them to do things, but you're always gaining it. The whole point is to avoid going Nova so early on. Like, there's just some smart things, like, and ideas that come about because these people have made RPGs before.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's kind of a build-up process, like which makes sense. You know, if you're fighting and stuff like that, you're not, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not coming in with your strongest hit. You're prepping and stuff like that, and then you're getting you're being tactful and stuff
and then like also what's cool is like their classes aren't just like, here's our rogue, here's our fighter. Yeah. They're actually like, here's our rogue, it's the shadow, and the whole point is that they use the shadows to do really cool stuff. We don't have a monk, we have the Knoll, whose whole thing is that he's anti-magic. Like, literally, he's in such a perfect state of zen that any magic around him doesn't work. It's here's our censor, which is their paladin, like, and that censor does really cool things here and there. Like, they just have a unique world building too. Okay. And design to it. They are eventually going to make an operator, which is literally you pilot a mech, like your Penny Parker.
Oh, that's going to be very interesting. Including
it's going to be really cool.
Is it high fantasy?
Yes. Yeah, it's really high fantasy for sure. And so I think it's going to be a really good system. Ultimately, if you're interested in narrative, you're going to go with Daggerheart most likely. If you're interested with mechanics and gameplay, I highly recommend Draw Steel. It looks like it's going to be good. Again, a lot of fun stuff coming out of that group. And again, you get to watch them make the sausage. Really cool.
That's always cool to be able to like watch a game being made, and then kind of, and then again because you have that kind of transparency. Yeah. You're seeing this, like you said, the sausage being made, so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the next one, Charles?
Next one, I audibly gasped because I didn't realize it was coming out, was the Discworld RPG. I love Discworld.
Isn't this the series where like death is personified, but like he's a really interesting version of death?
Yeah, it's if you have not had a chance to check out Discworld, you should definitely check it out. Again, and I can only imagine playing in that sandbox of a world. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd have so much fun.
Yeah, so obviously the big draw of this RPG is going to be the fact that it's Discworld, and so you're going to have a already built-in fan base that is going to want to flock to it. The reason I put this on here is because it's being made by Modifius. And as we have stated, we like Modifius.
Yeah, we do.
We think they do a good job. Their system is really cool. Their 2D20 system, I think, is very interesting. Obviously, we liked Fallout. We want to play Dune. Dune seems like it's going to be really fun.
We do want to play Dune, yep.
And so, like, Modifius is very lucky. They could just keep getting the IPs.
Right, I know. Yeah, Modifius, you do you, buddy. You do you.
And so I'm actually, like, super excited and interested to see how they're going to do it, how they're going to implement the uniqueness that is Discworld into all of this stuff, for sure. And so I think it's one to look out for sure. It's going to get a lot of people into the hobby. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, if you've read the books and stuff like that, you're going to probably want, and if you're into D&D, this, you're going to probably want to play this game.
Yeah, for sure. So. And also another RPG that was, I don't think it was Kickstarted. And if it was, tell me I'm wrong.
Please.
But super cool. Again, another good design team. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do this.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in Modifius. So, next, another game is one of my personal favorites as well. We played a beta version of it, right? Yes. It's Assassin's Creed.
Yes. So again, another big IP. I promise they're not all just big IPs. That's not true. The last one's also a very, very, very big IP. Yeah. And we'll get into that, but we'll do the honorable mentions before that. But we'll get into it. Yeah. The Assassin's Creed one. I remember when it first was like, hey, we're going to pre-order. So this is great. Again, a design team. It's being made by Simon, which is a board gaming company. So that's how I knew about it.
Okay.
And their big draw was more like, we also have miniatures as a part of it if you want to get miniatures.
I just like the way you said miniatures.
Miniatures.
Go on.
They released it. They're like, hey, we've already made the bulk of the design. We have some quick start rules if you want to pre-order now. And it's going to come out in October of 2024.
Ooh.
Then it was November of 2024 before they released a statement saying, hey guys, it's not coming out till next year. So that's why it's on this list. If you're like, but it technically came out in 2024. Technically it did. Technically. In the sense that if you pre-ordered it, you got the PDF. but the physical edition won't come out until next year. And let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of people who won't even know this thing exists until they walk into a game store and say, Assassin's Creed RPG? What is this? I'm buying it instantly. So that's going to be fun. We've already played it a little bit. So Charles, you want to talk about your experience with it?
It was so much fun because it's like playing two characters wrapped into one. Well, if you're, I guess everyone. I think initially the idea is that only one of the players can be the assassin.
It can. So ideally, here's how the game works. You are all people in the modern day, and you have the means to go back in time to someone's ancestry. But because they know you're going to be playing with a large group of people, instead of having one person, you have one who's like the primary link. So it's like it might be Charles's ancestor in the Revolutionary War,
right?
And they're the assassin that you're going back in time for. But every player gets to make other characters. They just might not be assassins necessarily, or ancestors that they're a part of, but they're playable characters in that world.
Yeah, we had a workaround in our play. Our buddy Jeffrey played with us, and we were siblings.
Yeah.
So we were able to both go back and be the assassins. It was really fun going from like a modern day person and then going back and like play, because I think we played in England.
Yeah, the turn of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. So like we got to put on our little accents and stuff like that, or attempt to. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
I love how the skills are done. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's just from the narrative side. So the mechanics is actually going to be really cool because it's kind of a Yahtzee type
thing. Really is, actually, yeah.
So it does require custom D6s, but not necessarily. We played it without custom D6s, and it was fun. We didn't even have like an app or anything. I had a little chart that was like, when you roll this is what happens. And basically, when you want to do a thing, you roll an amount of D6s, and you can increase the amount you roll by doing certain things. You just need to match a certain amount equal to whatever your skill is. So normally you want bigger numbers in your skills and attributes and stuff like that. In Assassin's Creed, you actually want lower numbers because it's less things you need to roll in order to succeed on that. So I believe you could get a skill down to like 1, where it's like, okay, I'm going to roll all these D6s. I only need 1 agility skill or 1 combat skill or 1 finesse or whatever. I don't forget the exact terms for all of them. But then you get additional abilities that are like, when you're using agility, if you also rolled a strength, you get to do this cool thing. Yeah. And so it's a really interesting like matching system, and you're trying to like match points up, which is really cool. The fact is you get to create characters constantly. So you're making your normal character, then you get to create your ancestor one, but then you're only there for like a few sessions, and now you're going to create another ancestor and make another cool one. So if you like building characters, you're going to love this system. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it goes really deep, and like, yeah, again, if you play the video games, it's like playing a tabletop version of that. Like it's a pretty good rendition of Assassin's Creed.
So let's go to the honorable mentions, Charles.
All right, let's talk about some of these Kickstarter RPGs. DC-20.
Yeah, so DC-20 is, again, one of those, it's by the Dungeon Coach. I didn't put this in the most anticipated for us because we've read the rules. I've read the rules. It just feels like it's him changing 5th edition a little bit. And really, it's more like keeping 5th edition and then adding in the parts of Pathfinder that he likes into 5th edition. And last time I said that, we got destroyed in the comments. So I don't care. Come at me, bro. Let's do it. We get engagement for it, so who cares?
Get in the comments.
It's just not going to be for me, at least. I like games that kind of do their own thing mechanically, and it just feels like it's a different version of 5th edition.
Yeah. And again, me, I'd be willing to give it a chance if someone wanted to run a game and be like, hey, I'd like you to play in my one shot or something, at least a one shot. I would at least try it one time. That's the kind of person I am, though.
I mean, so like the things that come out of it are the 4-point action economy, which you can use actions as reactions.
I actually like that. So.
Yeah, but like, again, we've already talked about this. I feel like it'd be much more interesting if you just got rid of initiative entirely and just had to be, you do 4 things.
Yeah.
At what point you do them is up to you. But you do 4 things. I think that would be a little bit more interesting version of that. And then they're doing a thing where they're saying that every +1 matters. Okay. Because when you roll to hit, it's not just about rolling to hit. You also have increments of success. And every time you do that, you increase the amount of damage. The downside is, and this is for all of our dice rolling friends out there, you don't roll damage. You just do damage. And it's
womp womp.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, I like the fact that it's consistent with damage, but like now it's just about like, oh, if I hit 5 above it, I do 1 additional point of damage.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't seem as fun as the dungeon coach is trying to make it seem like. It's okay. I'm not going to say it's a problem. Who knows? Maybe this is actually going to be one of our favorite games ever.
Yeah.
But I'm a little hesitant. Oh, point about draw steel. Yep. You don't roll to attack. You just attack and draw steel. And you roll damage only. I love that. Love that point. And again, like that's the difference, right? Dungeon Coach, he's building off of what he knows to make a new game. MCDM have made so many games that they can do something unique and interesting and be like, what is one of the worst parts about D&D? Missing when you want to hit something. What if we took that out? Can we? We can, and we did. Love it. Yeah. So we're going to list off a few others. These are just ones that popped up. I have no idea about any of them.
I got this list, and I don't know any of them.
Yeah. So
other than the top one, other than Dungeon Coach. Next one is Legend of the Mist.
Oh, so I know this one. This is City of the Mist, but they're doing their fantasy version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they launched a Kickstarter. They also did a cyberpunk one that I don't think has been released yet. So basically, it's the same system where like you create traits and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But this is a fantasy setting. And very so cool. Like it's cool because you actually get to see the growth of the characters transform over time, where it's like, I was just this old baker, but now suddenly I'm the Grand Wizard of Baking. And like you could still be
I'm the Grand Wizard of Baking is probably the best line you've ever said.
You could still be a baker, but like you're a Grand Wizard of Baking.
My ability is to make the best sweet tart you've ever had.
Or the deadliest. Yeah, so that's fun. I like they have the most interesting characters because you can just literally do anything. Yeah. It's a really cool system. Highly recommend looking into City of Mist, but also definitely check out Legend of Mist if you're more of a fantasy guy rather than like an investigative superhero game.
Yeah. Next one is The Between.
Yeah, so this one, and like, what are the rest?
The Between, Curseborn.
Yes.
Or Curseborn, sorry.
Curseborn.
Sorry. Let's start that again. The Between, Curseborn, and Mythic Bastionland.
Yes. All 3 of these were constantly coming up. As like, people are super excited to see what they're going to do. I have not heard of any of these. I think I've heard of Bastionland or Bastion, whatever it may be.
Mythic Bastion.
No. Yeah, that one. I've heard of it. I've heard of it before. This is like a pseudo sequel to it. So it's going to be interesting. Let us know in the comments if you like any of these games, why you like them, and maybe we'll check them out as they come out.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Yeah, this is just a video to give you ideas and to look into and to let us know in the comments that you disagree with our opinions. We're welcoming to all of those ideas.
This is not the greatest video in the world. It's just a tribute. I don't know if you got that reference.
Yes, I know who Tenacious D is. Oh my gosh.
He's young, guys. I don't know.
Whatever. Continue. They're not even a band anymore. How does that feel, Charles?
What do you mean they're not a band anymore?
Do I really have to explain this to you? All right, welcome to your news segment.
No.
Do.
I know what you're talking about. I think they've kissed a made up though.
Okay, good for them.
Yeah. So
this has been your news segment.
Wow, that was 2 different songs from both of us. I love it. All right, so let's talk about the most highly anticipated game of 2025.
Let us know in the comments what you think it is. And it's, it's what you think it is.
Stormlight / Cosmere?
It's the Cosmere RPG.
Cosmere RPG. I don't know why I said it that way.
I don't think any of their characters have a Russian accent either.
They should. It makes for interesting conversation. Moving on. I'm so sorry.
So, here, if you're not a Brandon Sanderson fan, you're going to be like, why is this the most anticipated thing ever? So Brandon Sanderson holds the record for most successful Kickstarter of all time.
Yep.
For 4 books.
4. Count them.
Technically, it was 5.
5 books. Count them.
So Brandon Sanderson is a fantasy writer, and he writes a lot of fantasy books. And then during COVID, he, much like all of us, took it a little difficult and wrote 4 extra books. And then released them.
I wish I would have had that kind of drive during COVID. I'm so mad.
Right. And then he released them as a Kickstarter and then still wrote an additional 5th book. Is it because I said boke? He wrote an additional 5th book and kept it in there and didn't tell anybody until they just it showed up on everybody's doorstep.
They're like, hey, could you give us more book? Yeah, I got it. Done.
They're like, what? Literally, it was insane.
I bet you was like that.
So, in classic Brandon In classic Brandon Sandersonian fashion.
I was trying to like, where are you going with this, my dude?
He released like, hey, I'm going to do a Stormlight RPG. It's one of my most successful book series. We're going to do that. They release a Kickstarter only to have it be, no. It's not just one of his books. It's all of them, Charles.
All of them?
All of them.
All of them?
And I haven't read Stormlight yet. I will eventually.
I haven't read any of his books. I need to.
Yeah. Mistborn, though. I've read all the Mistborn books, and they're doing a Mistborn RPG. And you boy is so excited for that, but that's not until 2026.
Gotta wait another year. So top anticipated game for 2026.
100% the Mistborn game. 100%. So here's the thing. It released, and it did phenomenal. Of course it did. It's Brandon Sanderson. You literally have people who are backing the thing who are like, I don't even play RPGs. I'm just going to buy the book. They made a world guide. So that way, if you've never played the game before, if you've never read the books, you can just be like, oh, here's a world guide, and that way I can have it work. I'm pretty confident there's people who backed the project just for those books. Because they're like, all his lore in one spot? Yes, please.
Yeah. It actually sounds like if you buy the lore books, it might actually help you read his other books.
Yes. So you have all that.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, he goes to a company, Brotherwise Games, to make this game. And he could have just been like, hey guys, you just make an RPG. I don't care. But he is also a nerd. He is also a big Dungeons and Dragons fan. He wanted it to be good. So they got a good chunk of the team from the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game.
Okay.
A game we've talked about really enjoying.
Yeah.
Having some really cool mechanics. And it seems like they're trying to find a way to still make it accessible to people who've never played before. So it's still got some of that D&D stuff, like you're rolling a D20, you're trying to hit high, stuff like that. But then they add in all the stuff that we love about Star Wars. So there's a plot die, meaning you can get like different kinds of successes and failures. We really like that. The way you make classes is a tree system, right? Where you're like, I'm this kind of a person. Oh, I could take this ideal. I could get this power. Now I have a different tree that I can pick from and get experience points for. And so it's definitely the most anticipated because it's made the most money and probably has the most amount of people looking forward to it. Though arguably in the TTRPG space, I think we're all most anticipating Daggerheart just because it's going to be interesting to see what Critical Role does. I still think this one is going to be far and away the most anticipated one. And here's the fascinating part. They're ahead of schedule. They're going to most likely release on time, if not early, to deliver their books.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, because here's the hardest part about making a list like this is being like, here's the RPGs coming out this year. None of them are guaranteed to come out this year.
That's fair. I mean, they're anticipated for this year, so.
Right. I mean, like Daggerheart is probably coming out because, again, there was no beta. There was nothing like that. And their pre-order is scheduled to deliver in spring. Ooh. So even if there's production delays, most likely it's coming out this year. Draw Steel, they're still making. We'll see. I'm hopefully optimistic about Draw Steel. It should come out this year because it was one of the first RPG or one of the first Kickstarters to come out with an RPG. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm hopefully optimistic about that. Discworld, who knows? It could. Oh, man. It could not.
I hope so. I definitely want to play that.
Most of the Kickstarters, again, it could take much longer than just this year.
There is something missing from your list. It's just not anticipated.
What's that?
Kids in capes.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I figured.
I mean, it's kids in capes.
It's kids on bikes, but they're superheroes. That's what it's gonna be.
I'm not anticipating that.
Yeah,
this is my list technically.
Yeah,
sorry, Frank's most anticipated instead of what is Tabletop's most.
Hey, editor. Oh, that's you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm saying.
Charles's list is kids on capes, and that's probably about.
Not kids on capes, kids in capes.
I don't care.
That's fair.
Do you have any others that you're highly anticipating, Charles?
Not that I can think of. No, genuinely, like the list you have is fantastic. So
yes,
I'm excited for. Again, when I saw the Discworld, I was a part of me was like,
there.
Whoo,
yeah. Yours is probably kids with capes, Discworld, the Assassin's Creed.
You know, I've been also thinking about like other games, like other IPs. I think we should do a podcast on it, but we'll talk about it later.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be interesting.
Like, because again, I've got a couple of ideas, but cut that out. So anyway. If you liked Frank's list,
yeah,
let him know.
Let us know what your list is in the comments down below.
And if you hated his list, let us know.
Yes, and we'll blame Charles for all the ones you hate.
Let us know. No, yeah, guys. Again, stay witty and. Yeah,
whoa! I was gonna say some things, but I guess we're just gonna stay witty.
Fine, so fine. I'll say your thing. Say your thing.
We do appreciate all of this. There are so many RPGs coming out. There are some RPGs that are going to be kickstarted coming out soon. There's some more playtest stuff. All of this fun stuff. We're excited for this new year. This is the first video of the new year, so we need to say that. We have a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned for all of that. We have a very special thing coming around our 1 year mark in March. So look out for that.
So what Frank means to say is stay tuned and stay witty.
Yes. Stay witty. Like Bugs Bunny. Was he witty? I think he was witty.
Yeah.
He literally changed like society's understanding of the name Nimrod.
We'll save that for another video.